Hi. Last class we were talking about the basic mathematics that is required to understand the physics, and in that process the first thing that we started is the vectors and scalars. We have seen the difference between the vectors and scalars, and then we have seen how to characterize the vectors and then how to represent the vectors. Now in today's class we are going to talk about how to add and subtract two vectors. So first let us talk about, now today we will see addition and subtraction of vectors. So first thing is we are going to talk about the addition of vector. To add, we will first talk about how to add two vectors. Okay. We will take any two vector, then we will see how to add two vectors, and we will show it by the means of geometrical means. So let us say we have two vectors. Let me say now we have two vectors, like A is my here. I will show it by A. And if I have another vector B, if I have another vector, let me say B, then how to add these two vectors? Now let us say, to do that we have two basic rules, and the basic rules is we can do it in two ways. The first is called as triangle law of addition. The first is called as triangle law of addition. The first is called as triangle law of addition. In the triangle law of addition, as the name indicates, we have to make some sort of triangle. Now in that case, what you have to do, take any one vector. Let me say I am taking the one vector first, my A. I am taking the what? First vector is my A. Let me say A is my something like this. A is my something like this. Let's say is my A. It is my A. Now if I want to add B with A, then join the tail of the B with the head of A. Join the tail of B with the head of A. Then what is remaining here? The tail of A and head of B. Join together both of them by a line, so that the direction of the let line is meeting the head of the vector B. So this vector, the new vector, is called as resultant, or summation of two vectors A and B. So I'll repeat again. In the triangle law of addition, we have to add the two vectors, then take first vector, then take another vector such that the tail of second vector is meeting the head of first vector. Now join the tail of first vector to the head of second vector. Then this line or this resultant vector will give you the summation of A and B. This summation is also known as resultant of A and B. It is also called as resultant of A and B. So this becomes my resultant or summation. I can call it what? Resultant of two vectors or summation of two vectors, or summation of two vectors. The second way to do that geometrically, we can also use parallelogram law of addition. So what is the meaning of parallelogram law of addition? What is parallelogram law of addition? The second way to add two vector is parallelogram law of addition. As you can see from the name itself, here we have to draw some sort of parallelogram, and to draw the parallelogram we will again use the vectors. So in this situation, take a first vector, that is my A, take a first vector, that is A, take another vector B. Now here the both vectors should touch the tails of each other. Both vectors should touch the tail of each vector, that is my B vector here. Then draw a parallelogram, we will see later on how that such that the length of this is equal to length of this, and the length of this B vector is equal to length of this. Okay. Then in that case, from the tail point of both vectors, join a tail of another third vector such that it becomes the diagonal of the parallelogram. Then this diagonal will give you the resultant of the vectors A and B. So here it is also the third way, is a second way of finding out the resultant or summation of the two vectors. It is called as parallelogram law of addition. In the parallelogram law of addition, we have to take the both vectors in both vectors such that they are meeting the tails of each other. Then the diagonal of parallelogram will give us the resultant or summation of the vectors. Now to talk about the subtraction of the two vectors, we have to first see what is the meaning of the negative vector. There is something is called as negative vector. Negative vector. Suppose if I have a vector A such that it is in indicating this direction. Let me call this vector A. If I need to find out what is the negative of this vector, then let me say I want to find out a new vector B that is equal to minus of A. Right? As you can see from here, I am just changing the direction of the vector A because it is shown by, it is indicating by the minus sign here. I am not changing any the length of the vector. Then the direction of the vector B should be anti-parallel to the direction of A. So this becomes my direction of, this becomes the vector B, or you can say negative vector A. So we can say if you want to draw the negative of a vector, then the length of the vector should be remain same, only the direction has to be anti-parallel. So it is called as negative vector. Now we will talk about what is the meaning of subtraction of two vectors. Subtraction of two vectors. Subtraction of two vectors. In this case, so let us say if I want to find out what is my A minus B, I want to find out what is my A minus B. Let me call this A minus B equal to C, another vector. Then you can see I can also write down A minus B as A plus minus B. That means I am adding the minus B vector in the A. Suppose if A is my like this, if A vector is my like this, if A vector is my like this, and B vector is my like this, if B vector is like this, if B vector is like this, then if I want to find out what is my A minus B, then you know now I have to add A plus, in vector A I have to add minus b. And in order to do that, what we need, that we have to first find what is my minus b. So because in this case v is my this side going that side, so minus b will be coming that side. So this becomes my minus b of same length but having the different anti-parallel directions. Now you see in this case, now I have taken two vectors, one is my a, second is my minus b, and both are joined with a tail to tail. Then if I will form a parallelogram like this, if I form a parallelogram like this, then the diagonal of this parallelogram will give me the resultant of this and this, means it will give me a plus minus b. So this will give me, let me say this will give me what? C. So this will give me C equal to a plus minus b, or in other terms we can say it will give me a minus b. So I repeat it again. So here we have vector a that is in towards this side, the vector v that is my this side. Now if I had to add a plus minus b or a minus b, then I have to first draw what is my minus b. So minus b is my this side having the same length but in the opposite direction. Now we got two vectors a and minus b, both are attached with the tail to tail. Then it now becomes my two different vectors, we have to form a parallelogram, and then the diagonal of this parallelogram will give me the head, will give me the resultant of both vectors, that is my a minus b. So suppose if we are going to do, let us say if I can also write it also like this, you can also verify it this way, C equal to a minus b, that means a has to be equal to b plus c. So this is my a, this is my a, this is my b, this is my b. Then if I am adding, means this must give me what? A minus b, or we can say c. Why? Because now we have two vectors, this and this. So if you add these two, in that case first vector I am joining the second vector a minus b, tail of second vector with the head of first vector, then joining the tail of first vector to the head of the second vector, it give me the resultant, that is my a. Similarly we can also find out what is my b minus a will be, you can find out from here. So this is the method with which we talk about the addition and subtraction of two vectors. So in this class we have seen how to add the two vectors geometrically. There are two methods. The first is triangle law, where you have to form a triangle with the help of both vectors, and the second is parallelogram law, where you have to form the parallelogram with the help of both vectors. And how to subtract the two vectors, as we have seen, to subtract the two vectors we must create a negative vector that is has the same length but opposite direction, and this is the method with which we can subtract the vector. So it is about the addition and subtraction. In the next class we will talk about the algebraic addition of two vectors. Thank you.